Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line. Corey and Benny coming at you on a Tuesday, getting ready to put a tie on week number 2, Benny, and push ahead to week number 3. These NFL weeks, they go by faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, especially when everybody keeps getting hurt and all these games turn into blowouts. And, I'll tell you what didn't go by fast was sitting through the Jet game last night. That did not go by fast.
It's never fun rooting on an under, Benny, but it's always cool when it does cash at the end. That was what we thought it would be, but now it got even worse because now some dude named Luke Skywalker, whatever the hell son name is going to be a starting quarterback. Trevor Siemian gets banged up with that ankle. Is there a Jet you can start in fantasy?
Le'Veon Bell.
In the 12-team league?
Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's the whole offense. You saw it last night. He had 10 targets, caught all 10 of them. I don't remember the number of carries, but I'm pretty sure that was double digits too. He had 60-something yards rushing, 60-something yards receiving. I mean, the only Jet that I can start with confidence is Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I'm a Jamison Crowder supporter. Unfortunately, I got 1 week of JC. I was lucky enough to get Scary Terry McLaurin off the waiver wire last week before the injury happened, and this way Jamison Crowder could find a place on my bench until Mr. Mononucleosis or whatever the F that's called comes back. Odell scored. Nick Chubb hasn't been impressive yet. No. Baker, I'm not impressed with Baker yet either, Benny. No. Njoku gets banged up yesterday, and they got the Rams coming to town next week.
So listen, pretty much, I don't like the Browns. Like honestly, like the Jets. I'm going to be honest because I'm a Jet fan here, so I'm not going to lie. I wore the hat today because, I'm going to support my team even though it's a shit show. The Jets are horrible.
Yeah, they are bad, son.
And you know what? The Browns didn't look very good against them.
No, they didn't. They struggled too.
I mean, to the point – all right, put it this way, Corey.
He had a couple of big plays, and Chubb had a big run. That's kind of how they got down the field.
100%. And this is just exactly what I was going to say. We talk all the time about how this is a game of inches, right? Jets go for it on 4th and 2, I think it was, and Le'Veon Bell comes up and in short. The very next drive is the drive that Odell Beckham, like literally a play or two later, Odell Beckham catches one for 89 yards, takes it to the house, and, the score is whatever it was at that time. I think it was 20-3. Let's say the Jets score on that drive. It's 13-10.
Dude, it's a different ballgame.
Exactly. And again, like it's that close. They missed getting the first down there that would have put them inside the 6-yard line, 1st and goal on the 6. And instead they go, 89 yards the other way. And, then the game was pretty much over at that point. But the Browns didn't beat the hell out of a Jet team that had Luke Skywalker as their quarterback. And, all right, so here's how bad it was for the Jets offense yesterday, Corey. They had negative 12 passing yards in the first half. Okay, after Le'Veon Bell, the only other Jet receiver who had a catch was Demarcus Thomas, who we just spent the 6th-round pick for when the Patriots were about to cut him anyway, who actually got hurt and is not, didn't even finish the game. But he was the only other Jet that had a catch in the first half. He had 1 catch from -1 yard.
Yeah, no, it didn't look good last night, Benny. And then Cleveland's pretty stout up front too. So that's why, like I said, it's not fun rooting in the under. But I kind of was just like, it was on, and I was just like, okay, well, nobody going to score anyway. And Monday Night Football don't get much better. These next upcoming couple of weeks is going to be some pretty terrible games. But I do think we got a good chance to have a good game next week. All right, Benny, let's look at some stuff on the waiver wire right quick before – not a lot this week. Obviously, the big news, the 2 quarterbacks go down with Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger. Brees for about 6 weeks. I think the Saints' offense will be fine. I'm not worried about Alvin Kamara. I'm not worried about Michael Thomas. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater is a massive addition in 2 quarterback leagues and in 12-team leagues also. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he'll be just fine. You know what I'm saying, Benny? I'm not worried about the Saints more so with Bridgewater than I would be if they had Brees.
A little bit. I'm not worried about the big names. I agree with you. Like Michael Thomas is still going to get his. Alvin Kamara is still going to get his. I'm more worried about the secondary options. The Ted Gins, the Trey Quinns, because I just don't think they're gonna ask Teddy Bridgewater to take the same load that Drew Brees did. I think they're going to try to run it a little more. I think it kind of benefits Kamara and even Latavius Murray a little more. I think they're going to try to play as much ball control as they can. And when they do pass, I mean, Michael Thomas is still going to get his. That's why I'm not really worried about that. Let me ask you this question, right? Because there's a lot of people that are going to be putting them in today. Got random phone calls popping up right now. People got to know I'm on the show, man. I can't deal with whatever you got going on right now.
F is going on. Like, yo, son, I'm on the show. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm doing between this time every day. It's nothing different.
No doubt.
But here's the question I have, Corey, because this is what a lot of people are going to have to go through when they go on the waiver wire today. We know that Ben Roethlisberger's out for the year. We know that Drew Brees is out, but 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I mean, that's kind of the timetable here. So if you're looking for a quarterback right now, do you go Mason Rudolph over Teddy Bridgewater?
I would. That's interesting, Benny. I would go Teddy Bridgewater. I think because Bridgewater is more familiar with the system. I think Bridgewater is a better quarterback. We've seen Bridgewater. It's been a while now, but we've seen Bridgewater be a successful starter in the NFL. Now, so that's how I would look at it. I think Mason Rudolph is going to be good too. I think he's going to do well. I'm not saying that Bridgewater is going to be much better. I don't have a problem with you picking up and adding any one of those quarterbacks. You got to also think too, if you're a Roethlisberger or a Brees guy, you could have had both those cats on your team. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The Lamar Jackson owner more than likely has a quarterback on his bench that he's trying to get rid of. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I would definitely target that person for a trade too. So that's how I look at it, Benny. That's how I look at it. I look at the Pittsburgh situation where your Juju Smith-Schuster shares could be in a little bit of trouble. He's not going to finish as WR1 like some thought he could. I still think he'll finish as a top 12 guy off of volume, and he's just a talented player. But you know what? I think we're going to see a Pittsburgh Steelers team in Week 3 that does not have Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, or Le'Veon Bell. It's a new era in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things to be worried about with this Pittsburgh team too. Like James Conner, they're saying is going to play, but he's not 100%. I honestly think if you can right now is the week to go ahead and try to pry Jalen Samuels out of somebody's hands.
Okay.
Because Conner, they're saying Conner's going to play, but he's not 100%. Samuels and Conner have basically been going 50-50 kind of split on what's been going on so far this year. Maybe it had something to do with the injury, maybe it doesn't, but I'm really worried when I hear about the knee that there's a chance James Conner is going to, eventually be put on the sidelines along with Ben Roethlisberger, which would leave Jalen Samuels as the lead back right now. So before that happens, now's the time to try to get him included in a trade that you're making with somebody, because that's a guy that I'm going to be trying to get onto some of my rosters right now this week. I think that's a good way to go. The other thing I'm going to say, Corey, if you're ever going to make a switch at wide receiver and give James Washington his opportunity, now's the time to do it. It doesn't look like you guys are going anywhere. Ben Roethlisberger's out. They're making some trades. They're making some moves. If you're trying to be a better football team, James Washington makes you a better football team. Dante Moncrief, you'll still find room for him in 3 wide sets. You'll still get him out there to spell these guys every once in a while. But we can't keep seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers throw the ball to him 10 times a game and just see him do nothing with it. James Washington at least has some upside. Let the kid go out there. So, like I said, I'm very worried about the Steelers right now. The Steelers do not look good. They realize their defense sucks. They just made the big trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick yesterday. They understand that they're in trouble right now.
They can stop the run. The trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick lets you know that they're going to try to get better on the back end against the pass. And not only if they figure getting better, that's how they're going to try to win the games. They're going to try to slow you. It's not going to be the wide open Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to try to slow you down, play defense, run the football, kill the clock. I love the James Washington thing. If he's on your waiver wire, pick him up. Benny, you know who James Washington college quarterback was?
I don't.
Mason Rudolph.
Was it really?
Yep.
Okay. So it's the old naked, seen him naked in the shower narrative that he's going to throw the ball right now. Okay.
They're fully comfortable with each other.
I'll tell you what, Trevor Siemian and Demarcus Thomas played together before. That didn't work out very well for the Jets last night, so we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully this works better for Pittsburgh.
But both those players are well past their prime. Not a lot on the wire. We talked about James Washington. If somebody, DK Metcalf, I was against DK Metcalf. I'm starting to buy in now. McLaurin should be gone. Demarcus Robinson, I think it's worth a pickup while old boy is out. Demarcus Robinson and Miko Hartman.
I'll tell you right now, Demarcus Robinson is probably on your waiver wires because I was shocked at how many waiver wires. And put it this way, I don't think anybody really expected him to do what he did this weekend. Everybody was talking up Mecole Hardman, and rightfully so. But Demarcus Robinson is on a lot of waiver wires, Corey, because I checked a bunch of my leagues tonight or last night while I was sitting here doing nothing, watching, the shit show that was the Jet game. Demarcus Robinson's on a lot of people's waiver wires, so definitely put that name literally get a pen right now and write that name down so you don't forget, because that's a guy that you should have in that offense.
Nah, Demarcus Robinson, I agree with you, Benny. He's on the wire. If you didn't get Raheem Mostert last week, you might have him out there this week. Go add Carlos Hyde too. He's the running back to own in Houston. Carlos Hyde, it's only week effing 2. We just left week 2, Benny, and Carlos Hyde has been great, about to be cut, traded, and now he's like, I'm here again. Carlos Hyde, it never ends, Benny. He never goes away.
And you know what the funny thing is? Right now, you're looking at LaShawn McCoy banged up. You're looking at Damian Williams banged up. If Carlos Hyde was still a Kansas City Chief, Carlos Hyde would be getting his opportunity, or at least about to get it, because right now it's going to who's the kid that beat him out? Darwin Thompson, I think is the last name.
Yeah.
He's a guy that you got to keep an eye on right now too, because you got a groin injury for Williams. You got Shady banged up as well. At the very least, this kid might start seeing some carries. And again, I mean, you want the running back in that offense. That was the reason everybody was so giddy about Damian Williams in the preseason. You want whoever the running back is on Kansas City. And right now it looks like some of these guys are a little banged up, and we might have a little distribution of carries kind of change around a little bit.
You know about the Kansas City backs? With Thompson and those guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Because you got Williams is banged up, and LaShawn McCoy's banged up.
Yeah.
Tough matchup for them this week against the Ravens, but Darwin Thompson, I think, is somebody that if he's out there on the waiver wires, you want to pick him up and stash him if you can, because there's a chance this kid's role could wind up being a very big role on literally the best offense to have a role on.
No doubt. And that's a good point. We talked about Jalen Samuel. We talked about Benny Snell. If somebody had an early quick trigger finger on Debo, go pick him up. I think this is the week that we start to get Debo warmed up. We saw the beginning of it last week. I think it continues this week. I mentioned Benny Snell, right?
We didn't talk about Benny Snell, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think Benny Snell. Oh, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
I was going to say, I'm shocked that it took us this long to get to J.J. here. I was waiting for it. I don't want to interrupt you.
No doubt. And Arcega-Whiteside, Deion Kane, Jeff Wilson Jr., whoever the hell that is in San Francisco.
Don't sleep on Jeff Wilson Jr. though. I mean, listen, everybody kind of thought it was going to be Matt Breida. Wilson got the goal line carries, both touchdowns last week. Mostert had most of the passing work. I got to double check on the snaps, but I feel like he played the most snaps too. So really, Breida was like the completely wrong San Francisco 49er to be on right now. The other guys all did more. I don't think it's a one-person thing, though, Corey. I think it's
no. Shanahan going. It's one person to Shanahan. It's three.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
One person to Shanahan.
But he also is somebody that has defined roles for these guys right now. Like Wilson is the goal line guy.
Yeah.
Whether or not that carries more than 1 week. Last week, Wilson was the goal line guy. Wilson got those touches down there. Mostert was the passing down guy. He got a lot of those passing down. They're all still going to get mixed in there, but like with the musical chairs that they're playing, it looked to me like Breida was the one who didn't have a chair at the end,
Yeah, but then again, this San Francisco thing, you remember that week last year when everybody picked up Mostert and started him that next week, and he got one carry that next week after having 19 the week before. You never can tell with Shanahan. Definitely cross your fingers when you put these San Fran backers in your starting lineups. Arcega-Whiteside with the banged up with the injuries to the Eagles. That Alshon Jeffrey donor in my lineup really cost me this week. But thankfully Odell was able to come through last night and do enough for two people.
You know who else I want to mention besides Arcega-Whiteside? Nelson Aguilar was on a lot of my waiver wires.
Very well could be. Yeah, he very well could be. And he's a must add if he is, especially with the way these Eagles wide receivers are banged up. He already has a rapport with Mr. Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, you look at right now, it looks like Alshon Jeffrey is pretty much ruled out already for next week.
Wonderful.
Which sucks. 'Cause, yeah, I got him on a couple teams too, and I'm dropping down to 4th and 5th wide receivers now that need to step up for me, which is not the.
It's week 3, Benny, and I'm putting motherfuckers in my lineup that I'm.
Put it this way. I need another Geronimo Allison touchdown, maybe 2. That's about the only thing that's going to save a lot of those teams. But also Deshaun Jackson is questionable. So I mean, you could be down 2 of them. They might be without 2 of their starting wide receivers, which would mean that Nelson Aguilar, who, tends to hop in the slot sometimes, is going to have to play pretty much like all the snaps. And I mean, even last week, like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, I think he played 90% of snaps last week. Even Matt Collins played 80% of snaps last week. So, again, depending on how long I don't think these are guys that you pick up and you blow your fab budget on because they may only matter for 2 or 3 weeks. But if you can pick them up and drop them and it doesn't cost you anything, or you can get them for like $1 or $2 on the fab, these are guys that I would be looking to add to my benches.
I just heard this morning. I was on the phone call this morning. I just heard this morning. I did not hear this. I did not notice. I don't have any Yahoo leagues this year. But Yahoo's default waiver system is now fab.
Is it really good? It should be.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should. The way it should be, Corey, is the way that a lot of leagues run it. You should have – everything should be locked today.
Yep.
Because you got to see what happened Monday night. Everything should be locked. I have a couple leagues that ran fab today, or that run fab today at like noon, that I had to make sure I got my stuff in the morning, and I hate that. Give everybody a day to look everything over and to figure out what they want to do. Run fab either midnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning or at noon on Wednesday like they do in the Scott Fish Bowl. And then from Thursday until games start, if there are guys on the waiver wire, you can pick them up for free. Yeah.
Exactly. But when kickoff come Thursday, lock it up.
Yeah, we'll lock up. The guys who play are locked up.
Yeah,
the guys that don't play till Sunday, when their game starts Sunday, you lock it up. I 100% think that that's the only reasonable way to run fab. And if your league isn't doing it that way, you should really think about changing it for next year.
All right. So there we go right there. Got you those waiver wire targets. And don't forget fantasyguru.com. They get you covered everything A to Z, the nuts and the bolts of the whole waiver wire process. All right, Benny, let's take a first look at some of these lines before we get up out this camp. Thursday night, Jesus Christ, Benny. At least it's a good college game on Thursday night. But Thursday night, we got the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans laying 1.5 on the road. The total is 40. I'm going to have to find like a Derrick Henry touchdown at -120. But it's nothing that interests me in this game right here.
I'd be more on the Titan side if I had to bet, but I'm kind of with you. I don't really want to bet this game.
No, it's a Houston and Tulane play on Thursday night. Atlanta versus Indianapolis. The Colts laying 2.5 at home versus the Falcons. 47.5 is the total. I love the Colts in this spot.
Do you? This is one that I'm staying away from. But go ahead. If you love the Colts, why do you love the Colts? Sell me on it. What's up?
The Atlanta Falcons. But if Dan Quinn wins 2 games in a row versus the spread, the NFL season is going to come to an end. That Atlanta Falcon team is not very. It's not very. Put it like this: they're a helter-skelter team. Atlanta is not going to go on the road and win versus a team that plays good defense and they play within themselves. Atlanta doesn't play within themselves. They go on the road this week. I think the Indianapolis Colts get at least a 3-point victory.
Okay. I mean, the one thing I will say –
Colts 2-0 versus the spread this year.
The Atlanta Falcons are always – people always say they're bad on the road, right? And it's usually because they're out of the dome. The one thing that kind of has me a little bit like, well, maybe they'll play well here is that they are still in a dome in this game. They're good. They're going to Indianapolis, so they are still in a dome. They're going to be on the fast track with those wide receivers. And that was kind of the way this team was built. So, again, not enough for me to want to take Atlanta on the road, but enough for me to be nervous enough to stay away from betting.
Understood, 100%. Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, the big one of the week. 6.5. The Chiefs laying 6.5 at home. Let me guess, Ben, you're going to tease this all the way down to the other side.
Anytime you can tease off of a 7 and go through all those major numbers. I got to be honest, though. There's about 4 games this week where the home favorite is a 7 to 8.5 point, where you can tease it through all those numbers.
And all of them ain't going to hit. Put it like that.
No, they're not all going to hit. And this is not one that I'm heavy on. I'll be heavier on some of the other ones that we'll get to in a minute. This is not one of them. If I had to bet this, though, Listen, I'm going with KC until I see somebody stop them. And I know that sounds a little crazy to people because the Ravens look awesome, but Pat Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
1 quarter. I love Lamar Jackson, but I don't know if there's another quarterback in the league that can do that.
This total opened up at 51. It's now up to 55.5. It'll probably settle in around 57, 58. And as long as it's under 60, I'm taking the over.
I wanted it at 51. I wanted it at this point. I'm not chasing a move when I missed it.
I feel you on that one. I have a feeling we're gonna disagree on this. Bills at home laying 6 to the Cincinnati Bengals. I went down in flames last week with the Bengals and the Red Rifle Andy Dalton. I'm ready to strap it up again and go down in flames again. The Buffalo Bills are not 6 points better than anybody.
Why would we disagree about this? I'm 100% on board with that.
I figured you was going to be on the Bills.
No.
Oh,
no.
You're a Jet fan.
Listen,
Fuck them.
the Buffalo beat the New York Jets and the New York Giants.
You're right.
So they're basically 2-0 against college teams. I mean, no, not at all. I'm 100% in agreement. I don't think Buffalo is 6 points better than anybody. So if Buffalo was a 2.5 point favorite here, you might have me on the Buffalo side.
No doubt.
I don't doubt that Buffalo could win this game, but I don't think Buffalo wins this game by a touchdown.
Green Bay laying 7.5 at home versus the Denver Broncos. Yeah, Benny, this is the underdog in me. Like, the Broncos. I like it.
So Green Bay beat Chicago. Chicago beat Denver at home.
Yes.
Denver was at home. You know what I'm saying? Chicago went into Denver and beat them.
3-0.
Now Denver's going up to Green Bay to play Green Bay and Green Bay.
Like a crazy man, I like Denver.
Yeah, this is one of the ones.
7.5, Benny.
Again, I'm not taking 7.5, but we talk about the teasers. You tease this down 6 points, you get through the 7, you get through the 6, you get through the 4, you get through the 3, all the way down to 1.5. Now, I know 1.5 screwed me last week with the Houston Texans, but I'm going to reiterate what I said last week. The most profitable teaser bets are home favorites that you can take through the 7 and the 3. So if you can get a home favorite at 7.5 to 8.5 points and take them down to 2.5 or less, it was the most profitable plays in Vegas last year. So taking whether it's 7.5, I think it's actually, what are you looking at, FanDuel for these lines? DraftKings, I think they have this game at 8. But either way, you're taking it through the 7, through the 6, through the 4, through the 3. I like this game as part of a teaser. I would not take the 7.5 though. I agree with you.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna catch that with the Denver Broncos. I need some magic from Joe Flacco. Philadelphia Eagles. There you go again, Benny. Get that. They're laying that 7 on the road versus Detroit. I like Detroit over a banged up Eagle team. I'll take the +7.
Now this is another one of those minus 7s, but I'm not teasing this one. This is another one I'm staying away from because of what you just said. I don't know who the wide receivers are going to be for the Eagles right now. I don't. The other thing that people aren't realizing here, Corey, the Eagles are down about 3 defensive linemen right now.
Yep.
And one of the biggest strengths of this Eagle team was that they used to shut down the run. Everybody's like, oh, well, you can pass on the Eagles. Well, you could pass on the Eagles because you couldn't run on them. Like, the only way you were going to move the ball is if you passed, and that's why teams did it. But part of the strength of that was that they had all these great D linemen, and basically you weren't getting anything on the running game. I think they're down at least 2, if not 3 defensive linemen at this point in time. So now you're talking about guys that were like your 4th and 5th stringers now being your starters playing 70, 80% of the snaps. And then guys that you had to take on your practice squad rotating in there because you just need some fresh bodies. I don't think this Eagles team right now is as strong as other people think it is. Your wide receivers are all banged up, so you're missing some of your skill players. Your defensive line is banged up, so your defense isn't as strong. I'm not betting against them, but I'm not betting on the Eagles right now either.
Yeah, I'll gladly take the 7 with the Lions. I'll probably end up teasing that it's up to 14, 14.5 to make it even juicier. Dallas Cowboys laying 21.5 at home against the Dolphins. I'm going to lay the 21.5, Benny. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not touching it, but I'm not going to argue with you either. I mean, listen, Miami's been getting their ass beat by – Miami has lost 2 games. Their differential is -92. It's 102-10 or something in their 2 games. So their average score of a Miami Dolphins football game is 51-5.
And
so
guess what, Benny? those games were at home. This week,
That's what I'm saying. And now they're on the road. So I can't argue. Like, is it a full 3 touchdowns? They have it at 21?
21 and a half. It pushed up.
But more than 3 touchdowns. Jesus Christ. That is such a big number. I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I was listening to somebody talk about this yesterday, that would be – there's been 5 spreads in history at 22 or higher. So that would be like one of the top 10 highest football spreads ever.
Well, you got another one right behind it, Benny, because the New England Patriots are home next week against your New York Jets. And guess what?
17? What is it?
21 and a half.
21 and a half?
21 and a half. Benny, as a Jets fan, I know you're like, damn, son.
I can't say no. I mean, I think listen, they just lost 23-3 to the Cleveland Browns, and New England to me is better than Cleveland by miles and miles at this point. You know, a lot of people that had those Cleveland bets are like, oh shit, why did I do that? Like, New England is miles and miles better than the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I'm not taking 21 and a half, and it's at New England too, right? Because the Jets aren't home this week.
Yeah, it's at New England, son.
Dude, I mean,
how does it feel, Benny, for your team to be catching 21 and a half points?
I mean, as a Jet fan, it feels pretty normal. I can lie to you, but it's it's not the first time we've been big underdogs to the Patriots up in New England. Yeah, listen, I mean, this, Corey. I mean, I'm the biggest Jet fan there is. By no stretch of the imagination, though, am I going to sit here and let my fandom trump, my eyes and what I see. The Jets are horrible.
Yeah,
and,
it's a tough watch.
Yeah, listen, I watched the entire game last night from start to finish. I was doing other things at the time by halftime, but the game was on, and I sat here until the end with my eyes literally closing, watching the game. It's tough to watch. Like, there isn't much that I can point to and tell you that I'm even, happy about for the future. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's that bad.
All right, there you go right there. Oakland and Minnesota. This one is interesting right here, too. Minnesota's at that in that sweet spot like you like. You know what I'm saying? Minnesota's in that sweet spot that you like, right?
Yeah, no, I love
this. Bad, but the Raiders are going on the road now.
Yes, I absolutely love the Vikings. Like, the Vikings are going to be in every teaser that I throw in this week because, like you said, they're 8 and I saw them at 8.5. Is that what you have them at too?
8.5. Yeah,
so 8.5, 6-point teaser. You get down through the 7, through the 6, through the 4, through the 3. You end up at 2.5. You need the Vikings to win this game by a field goal at home. You mentioned it. The Raiders, who were at home, are now going on the road. So that is going to be something that's negative too. Tyrell Williams is banged up. Josh Jacobs is banged up. This is a team that had a very defined group of guys that were seeing touches anyway. And if you're taking 2 of the big guys that were seeing touches out of there, who are they going to count on offense now? Do you think you're going to lose to a Derek Carr team with Jalen Richard and Hunter Renfrow? And I mean, Darren Waller I love, so I'm not gonna disparage Darren Waller, but Hunter Renfrow would be your number 1 receiver if Tyrell Williams isn't there or if he's not good. And either way, even if Tyrell Williams is good, Tyrell Williams, Xavier Rhodes, that's not an easy matchup for him. So I don't see how Oakland can put up any points on the board here, and I do think that Minnesota can. I don't like Minnesota in close games because Kirk Cousins keeps doing dumb shit.
Son, did you see the interception in the Packer game, yo? That's about as terrible a pick as you can throw in that situation.
100%. I don't think there is a worse pick that you can throw because all he had to do was throw the ball away.
That's it.
He just did something stupid, and that's the thing. So you give me a close game with Kirk Cousins, I'm a little worried. But listen, Dalvin Cook is a stud. They have weapons on this offense.
If I'm them, I'm like, I see why they're not letting him throw Benny shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
The defense is good enough that good offenses are going to score on them, but they're going to hold down or shut down bad offenses. And honestly, we all got real excited about Oakland, and I know they had a good matchup last week. And usually the Chiefs is a matchup where teams tend to outperform. Look what Jacksonville did to the Chiefs in week 1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We don't think that's a good passing game, but all those guys performed. Nobody really performed on Oakland last week. Tyrell Williams caught the early touchdown, but he didn't really have a big game. Darren Waller was okay. Derek Carr, who a lot of people use in fantasy, sucked. I think he finished with like 12 fantasy points or something like that. They are not a good offense at all. I think the Vikings can cover the 8.5, but when you tease that down to 3, to me, this is a lock with the Vikings at home. Vikings are going to be on every teaser I put in this week. That is one of the most profitable plays. I think this is just a really, really good matchup for him. Like I said, I think they can cover the 8.5, but they're the key team that I'm using in 4 or 5 different teasers.
This one right here is interesting, Benny. The Arizona Cardinals, 2.5-point home underdog versus the Carolina Panthers. This looks like a trap game.
I would money line Arizona here.
I'm taking the 2.5 with.
Wait, you said Arizona's getting 2.5, right?
Arizona's the 2.5-point underdog.
Yeah, I'm taking the money line. They're going to win this game outright.
I like the Carolina Panthers to cover the number.
Do you?
I like Carolina minus 2.5. And I've lost a lot of money betting on Cam Newton, Benny. But why would this spread be 2.5 when everybody saw Carolina play by themselves and look terrible? Everybody saw Arizona go toe-to-toe with Baltimore on the road. Why make them a 2.5-point underdog at home? Because it's a setup.
Okay.
That's how I look at it, Benny. That's how I look at it. Trust me, I don't want to put my hard-earned money on Cam Newton, Benny, but I'm going to this week. He's let me down before, Benny. But hell, all of these dudes let us down, Benny.
That is true. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think Cuyler Murray is a pretty good quarterback.
I'm starting to feel that way too.
Right now, I don't think Cam Newton is.
Super Cam got one more trick in him, Benny. I'm telling you. Tampa Bay and the Giants. Here we go, Benny. Tampa Bay laying 6.5.
Honestly, unless I hear that Daniel Jones is starting, give me the Bucs.
I like the Bucs too, minus the 6, and I would lay the 6.5. But what I worry about, Benny, is Daniel Jones taking over at halftime and rallying the Giants. I'll bet the first half of this game. I'll bet the Bucs in the first half. I'm worried that it's one of these games, Benny, Daniel Jones is going to take over and the Giants will come back and win.
So I'm going to throw this out there because I was very taken back when I saw this yesterday. So Giants coach Pat Schumer, they had him on an interview yesterday.
Mike Francesa.
And he basically was non-committal about Eli Manning being the starting quarterback in week 3. That's why I said I'll wait to see and make sure that Eli's starting. But if Eli's starting this game, I have no problem taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here.
Let me tell you something. I hate to say this like this, knock on wood, you know what I'm saying? I'm a football fan, you know what I mean? So obviously I've known about the Manning family for over 20-something years now, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to see nothing happen to Eli Manning. But Eli Manning is putting himself in a bad spot. Son is not a football player. He should not be on the field. And I don't want nothing bad to happen to Eli Manning. But Eli Manning, I'm hoping that he walks off the field on his own terms. But he looks bad right now. Benny, that number just locked up.
What's the number?
That number just locked up.
They took it off the board?
Took it off the board.
All right, go ahead. Keep talking. I got to go. I'm going to go check on Twitter and see if there was any news right now.
Yeah.
I would love to see that they decided that Eli's not starting.
They just took that number off the board. So that
Whoa, yeah, it just happened because I just literally the New York Giants just tweeted out, like the Giants Twitter page, Daniel Jones has been named the Giants starting quarterback.
So there you go right there. Daniel Jones named the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. So here we go. The era is over. It is no longer Eli Manning's season. I think this could be a good thing for the Giants, Benny.
So, Corey, you traded Odell Beckham. We watched Odell Beckham last night make a sick one-handed catch down the sideline. We watched him do what Odell Beckham has done so many times in Giant Stadium, take a slant to the house for 80, 90 yards yesterday. You gave Eli Manning $23.5 million, and you're sitting his ass in week 3. How is your GM not fired today?
Crazy.
I mean, literally, how is he not fired? Like, if you're a Giants fan right now, you should be livid. You should be absolutely, again, not that this is a surprise by any stretch of the imagination, but you should be livid at the decisions that this team made.
No, I guess, we knew that this day was coming, and we were just effing talking about it. And the number, it locks up. And just like that, there you have it. We have breaking news. Daniel Jones in the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. And if you're a member, listen, they got to feel good about but put it like this. It's a new era in Pittsburgh. It's a new era in New York.
Yeah, you're turning the page. That's the way. I mean, you didn't sign Landon Collins because you had to give Eli Manning $23.5 million to start for 2 weeks and then hold the clipboard for Daniel Jones.
It's going to be ugly, Benny. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be real good to hear New York Sports Talk Radio today. The Los Angeles Chargers laying 3.5 versus the Houston Texans. I would take the Texans and the teaser the other direction. But I think the Chargers can get out of here with a 4-point victory. But I wouldn't lay the 3.5 with the Chargers though.
I'm going to tell you what, at this point in the week, I have no opinion on this game. I want to rewatch. I haven't, because I didn't watch it this weekend. So I want to rewatch the condensed version of the Houston game and try to figure out why they couldn't score. I watched a lot of the Chargers game. The Chargers, to me, the Chargers are a 10-6 team. They're always a 10-6 team. They're always better than average, but they're never great. And that's kind of, that's kind of the way I look at it. I think Houston, if their offense, Houston's offense shows flashes of greatness, and then they show flashes of what the hell are we doing? Last week to me was
flashes of Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, exactly.
Flashes of Deshaun Watson, then they show flashes of Bill O'Brien.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, this is an offense that could put up 45 points one week and then come back the next week and do what they did last week. Where
at home versus Jacksonville.
Yeah, where it looks like they have no idea what they're doing, what their concept is, like, who they're trying to get the ball to. I mean, listen, you have so many talented players on that offense, and the guy who they fed last week was Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that, like you said, it's Bill O'Brien. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. So right now I have no opinion on this game. I want to watch it. I want to kind of let it sink in. And then I kind of want to rewatch the Chargers game and kind of let that sink in. But I think 3.5 is a good line here. I think this is a good line that Vegas made where I'm kind of like, I don't want to touch it. You know what I mean?
It's a tough line. Like I said, I would tease Houston in the other direction. The Seattle Seahawks are laying 4.5 against the Saints. I don't think the Seahawks don't play 5-point victories. You know what I'm saying, son? Right. That's not how the Seahawks play. The Seahawks play like we won by 2. We won by 3. So I like the Saints in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week with the Seahawks against the Steelers. I mean, it worked out being on the Seahawks side because of everything that fell apart with Pittsburgh. But I think it's a good line. Like I think the Seahawks win, but I'm not going to take the Seahawks money line. And like you mentioned, I don't ever want to take the Seahawks for more than 2.5 points.
Yep.
I don't ever want to give more than 2.5 with the Seahawks. It's like you said, it's just not the way they play.
Sunday Night Football, see the Cleveland Browns travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Rams are laying 2.5. You kind of feel like, okay, they should be laying more than 2.5. So that one's kind of tricky too. Do the Browns get right on the West Coast? I don't know. Right now, Benny, I'm gonna leave this. This is not going to be on my card because it looked too funny to me.
I might have 2 houses by the end of this weekend because that's how much I'm going to bet on the Rams against the Browns. The Browns, I'm telling you, the Browns.
Don't fuck with the Browns.
The Browns. Again, I know how bad the Jets are. I know how bad the Jets are. And I watched that game, and it was literally a yard, or not even a yard. It was probably 18 inches away from that being a 3-point game that the Jets had a chance to win, as freaking horrible as they looked yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that the Rams cover and win this game. Win and cover easily. I wouldn't doubt if they win by 2 touchdowns.
Wow, Benny.
The Browns are not good. The Browns are legitimately not good. Myles Garrett was very good on defense yesterday, but the Jets' offensive line sucks. Look what the Browns did in week 1 against Tennessee. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like people are like, oh man, the Buffalo Bills are so good because they beat the Jets and the Giants. Like, this is the time of year where you have to start looking at opponents. When you go on the road and beat good teams or hang with good teams, that's a lot better than blowing out shitty teams. Like, I learned nothing by a team playing against the Miami Dolphins. I learned nothing about that team because you weren't tested, you weren't challenged, you weren't pushed. There is nothing you can take away from a victory. Now, again, I'm not saying that, the New England Patriots suck because they beat the Dolphins 40-0. We know that the Patriots are good, but we didn't learn anything new about the Patriots last week. They did what they're supposed to do. When you beat bad teams, you shouldn't get rewarded for beating bad teams. Oh, the Browns are 1-1 right now. Okay, they beat the Jets. If I beat my 4-year-old son in a one-on-one playing basketball and then I lose to Michael Jordan, that doesn't mean that I'm an NBA player because I played against Michael Jordan and I'm 1-1. Like, you got to beat good teams. If you don't beat anybody good, I don't have any respect for you. right now, I don't really think Tennessee's a very good team, and the Browns lost to them. Until the Browns beat somebody good, I have no respect for them.
All right, there you go right there. Benny has no respect for the Cleveland Browns. They have no respect for your Jets, Benny.
It's mutual. That's fine. We're good.
All right, final one of the weekend, and I absolutely love this one right here. Monday Night Football, well, not of the weekend, of week 3. The Bears laying 4 on the road versus Washington. Hammer. I mean, hammer Washington and sprinkle the money line.
I don't disagree with you. I'm surprised you said that. I didn't think you were going to be on that side of it.
Yeah. I love Washington in this game right here.
Yeah.
The Bears are not that good.
Yeah, I think
you feel about the Browns, I feel about the Bears.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree. Again, I mean, the Bears, who did they beat? They beat Denver. We didn't think Denver was a good team. Denver lost to Oakland. You know what I'm saying? So prove to me that you're good. Go beat somebody good before you expect me to put money on you. I can't do it either. I'm of the same mindset. I don't think – and the Bears are favored by 4.5, you said?
Bears are a 4-point favorite on the road on Monday night.
Yeah, the Bears – I don't think the Bears deserve to be a road favorite against anybody. And I definitely don't think they deserve to be more than a field goal road favorite against anybody. So
no doubt. I agree with you on that. I would try to get in on that number right now. But then again, we'll see where the money goes. The Bears are a very public team, and people think that DC stinks. All right, Benny, big piece of chicken. I got to give it to the homie. I'm not. Should I give it to Eli Manning? Nah, I'll give it to Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Odell Beckham was the guy who kind of saved my evening last night too. So, I had Odell Beckham to score a touchdown and the Browns to win. So, Odell Beckham gets my big piece of chicken because he put a whole bunch of money in my pocket. So, if I'm buying the chicken, he can have the big piece.
All right, there you go right there for my main man, Benny Ricciardi. It's Corey Paulson, the fantasy executive. The opening line, we are out.